going on, everybody? C4, welcome back. More C4. We are about 5 hours before the kickoff of Super Bowl 57, so I figured, let's just do a video. You know, as you can tell by my background, there's a reason why there hasn't been any webcam in any of my stuff for the most part. It's because I'm completely like redoing my office, and I didn't want this awesome, epic back. Hey, you know what those are, right? You know what those are. And look, literally, there's a door. I took my office door off because we're having a Super Bowl party. Got people over. Gonna move the casting couch, if you will, out of my office and out in front of the TV. It's just ignore the background. Let's focus. Got the Eagles. We got the Chiefs coming up. I just wanted to throw in a little preview here. It's not going to be, super in depth, super analytical. It's just how am I feeling the day of the second biggest game since I've been a Philadelphia Eagle fan. Obviously, not a religious guy in any sense of the word, but we are blessed. Hashtag blessed to be back in a Super Bowl again. 2017 was not that long ago. Like, literally doesn't feel... Obviously, it's been, 5 years, 6 seasons since we won the Super Bowl. Doesn't feel like it's been that long. I guess when you go for however many years before that point to, waiting for the Philadelphia Eagles to win a Super Bowl. For me, it was, 20 years, give or take. So, I think because the monkey's off the back a little bit there, that phrase. There's not as much pressure on this one. It's not as like we have yet to win a Super Bowl. This is our opportunity to win our first Super Bowl in franchise history. I feel like because of that, maybe it's not that big of a deal if we lose in a way. Like it is, but it's not. Feels like there's a lot less pressure this time than it was against the Patriots. It also feels like there's no enemy really in this one. Like our biggest enemy has been like the Niners players throughout this whole week. And the last time we went, it was the Patriots. It was a rematch from the Super Bowl that we lost. It was Bill Belichick. It was Tom Brady. It was, there was a lot of storyline in 2017, at least in terms of like hating your opponent, making the game mean more. Plus the fact that we were the underdogs. We were doing it with Nick Foles. We were doing it with all the backups. 2017 was a magical year. It was special. I even think non-Eagle fans are just like, that's an insane season. Like, just put that in the context of your favorite team. Imagine your favorite team is really good. You have an MVP caliber quarterback, which we did at that time in Carson Wentz. He gets hurt, and then somehow your backup quarterback not only wins you a Super Bowl, but, has all-time type games during that whole run. And then he kind of just slowly fades off into obscurity after that's over. 2017 was ridiculously special. This year, I don't really know how to... What's the proper summary this season? It's kind of... we've beat everybody. Like Howie Roseman talked about this. I saw it during I don't know if it was ESPN or something like that. Where he's like, they're talking about the 85 Bears and how the 85 Bears just kicked the shit out of everybody. All the games weren't even close, right? And there's the narrative Philly hasn't played anybody good and all this stuff, which, you know what? I'm not here to necessarily argue against that. You got to play who you got to play. There's those same people for the most part were like, well, yeah, Philly didn't play the Bills. They didn't play the Chargers. They didn't play the Bengals. The teams that just are out of our conference. We were in the NFC. It's a down year. Usually, that's how the playoffs work. Is usually there's one of the two teams come from the weaker conference that given year. That there's been a very NFC heavy side of that argument for quite some time now. So now that it's kind of shifted to the AFC, obviously we haven't really beat anybody good because there's no one really that good in the NFC. The only other good team on paper in the NFC this year was the 49ers, and we destroyed their quarterback very early in that game to make it, unfortunately, very one-sided and not competitive. I would have much rathered, honestly, if you told me the outcome was still the same, seen a down-to-the-wire matchup against the 49ers and Brock Purdy. But it's not my fault. The Niners' offensive line didn't show up to play that game, and their quarterbacks, unfortunately, got knocked out. Is what it is. So, going towards this matchup, right, to that narrative, is now we're finally playing a supposedly good team. There's still going to be people out there saying, the Chiefs weren't that good or Mahomes is hurt. There'll be excuses, but for the most part, Kansas City is easily the best team Philly has played at this point. And I honestly think the same could be said for Kansas City. Kansas City, much tougher journey to get to this point, but I don't think Cincy, I don't think, the Bills from the regular season. I don't really think any other team in the AFC is better than the Philadelphia. I don't think any team's better than the Eagles. I think from quarterback down to punter, the strongest roster in the NFL is the Philadelphia Eagles. So therefore, it is going to be the biggest test for the Kansas City Chiefs in this game. And really what this game boils down to me is just like, well, where are the advantages right now? I think it's going to be the Eagles are the best overall team, but you have to give the advantage right now in this matchup easily to Patrick Mahomes at quarterback and Andy Reid at head coach. I think every other argument that can be made about the rosters, right? If you're trying to break it down, you'll give Kansas City Travis Kelce edge, right? Travis Kelce is better than Dallas Goedert, but it's not like Dallas Goedert's slouch. Dallas Goedert's still very much in that top 5 conversation. It's not like the drop-off or the gap between what Kelce will do in this matchup and what Dallas Goedert could do is massive. I think you might give the advantage interior offensive line to Kansas City. Even then, it's probably a push. But, you take Humphrey, you take Trey Smith, you take Joe Tootie. You might want to take that over Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelce, Isaac Seumalo. But again, very, very minimal. You look at the defensive side of the ball, maybe an argument to linebacker, maybe. Then again, if you trust like the PFF nerds, T.J. Edwards is easily like the highest graded linebacker in this matchup. But I think when you look at the other positional groups, and even you can make, I'm not saying this, but I'm not saying this. Even the argument about quarterback, Patrick Mahomes is ridiculous. He is one of one, but is the drop off for Patrick Mahomes banged up right now? Jalen Hurts banged up. Is it monstrous? Not really. I mean, Jalen Hurts was the runner-up for the MVP. So it still is. That's still absolutely a big favorite. I think, honestly, if this game was not the Eagles, if it was a team that was as stacked as the Eagles, and it was Patrick Mahomes being the underdog, if I was betting, I probably would bet. I wouldn't bet against. I would throw some money on the Chiefs because you give Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes underdog odds. I'm going to take that just because that is favorable. Anything is possible when you have Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. So applying that to the fact that they are taking on my Eagles, that's kind of how I view this. It's like that is something that needs to be worried about, something you're going to be conscious. I know there's a lot of very confident Eagle fans, by all means. But they still have Patrick Mahomes. They still have Andy Reid. They have Spagnuolo. They're going to blitz a lot. I'm not really want to do X's and O's and stuff like that. But to kind of round out that last point of comparing players, I do think, and why I say Philadelphia is the best team in the NFL, and definitely a better team than the Kansas City Chiefs, is that the advantages, like the edges that you'd be giving Kansas City over the Philadelphia Eagles if you're comparing the two. I think the bigger discrepancies is when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Philadelphia Eagles defensive line as a whole is very much better, great English, than the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Philadelphia Eagles secondary is a notch or two better than the Kansas City Chiefs. Darius Sneed's a baller, but there's a lot of inexperience on that back end there for the Kansas City Chiefs. They got Jalen Watson playing. They got, who's the other corner? McDuffie, rookie, playing. I think I'm going to have to say a decent chunk of an advantage in the secondary goes to the Philadelphia Eagles. And obviously that's still not to discredit the guys. Like Jerry Sneed, Chris Jones, Frank Clark's a playoff performer. I think tackles, big advantage for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Hassan Reddick is. I already put money on Hassan Reddick to win MVP of this game. I think he's going to have they got to figure out, because I don't think they're going to want Noah Gray or Travis Kelce blocking Hassan Reddick like the 49ers thought it was a good idea to do, to use a tight end to block that man. I think wide receivers is a massive landslide advantage for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the running game, maybe not necessarily the running backs per se, but the running game is a massive advantage for the Philadelphia Eagles. So it's still ridiculous to have the argument that, all these big advantages are going the way of the Philadelphia Eagles, but still, this is anybody's game because they have Patrick Mahomes and to a certain extent, Andy Reid. So it's going to be a good game. Like I said, I'm happy that really the Eagles and Niners and the Eagles and Giants games were far more chippy, if you will, on social media. And obviously, just because I do a lot of my work, a lot of my interacting on social media, it's part of what I do. And this one, it's been chill. It's like both fan bases are kind of like, the other team's are really good. I think we're going to win. That's kind of extent. Maybe it's the Andy Reid connection. Maybe it's the Kelce Bowl. Maybe it's the fact that just, Chiefs fans aren't assholes and Eagles fans, we're assholes. We're only really assholes when the other teams are assholes as well. Like, if you don't engage, we're just like, hey, they're cool. That's kind of what I, the vibes that I'm getting. So it's going to be a really good game. To kind of throw some predictions, and then we'll be obviously able to react whatever happens in a couple hours. I do think Philly's going to win. I think that the script, I am worried. Like, what am I worried about? I feel like Kansas City wins this game if Jonathan Gannon has not always had the best games against good quarterbacks. He lets good quarterbacks make easy throws. That could happen. I get PTSD. The biggest display of this, I mean, we've seen it with Aaron Rodgers. The biggest display was last year against the Raiders. We went up against the Raiders, and like Derek Carr, and we allowed him. We were like, this was our game plan. We allowed Derek Carr to just get free throws between the 20s, and then it just became like, can we stop them in the red zone? That was like the game plan. And I'm not saying Derek Carr's an elite quarterback, but Derek Carr's not bad. But that game plan, like that's the clearest example of that game plan, that's showed up against a lot of top quarterbacks. Like that's kind of what Philadelphia and Jonathan Gannon in particular have kind of established during this time. It's like when we're going up against a big quarterback, that Vic Fangio defense, like let's just make them play, make them have to earn it in the red zone. I don't think you can do that with a banged up Mahomes. I think you use that as an advantage. You be very aggressive. I want to see a lot of man defense. I want to see a lot of blitzes. I want to see pressure on Patrick Mahomes. That's how you're going to get him. That is absolutely how you are going to stop the Kansas City Chiefs. He is not going to be able to scramble as much. And if we apply the same pressure that we had against the 49ers, it's going to be incredibly difficult for Patrick Mahomes to do what he does. And even that being said, this game is not going to be a blowout. Even if it looks like it's starting to trend towards a blowout, it's Patrick Mahomes. But I think if they play passive, soft zone defense and just play for the red zones, that's not going to be ideal. I also think you can't take too many shot plays. I feel like Jalen Hurts' shoulder is affecting the deep ball a little bit, and we saw a couple misses against the 49ers. Uncharacteristic misses against the 49ers. Easy touchdown A.J. Brown that we're hitting 9 times out of 10 in the regular season before that Bears game. So I feel like you can't have too many shot plays. We need to run the ball. Andy Reid, I guarantee right now, if this game starts to go the Eagles' favor, one of the most common things that you're going to see from the Chiefs fans, be it on like Reddit or on Twitter or anything, is going to be run the football Andy. That's what Andy Reid, from even back here in Philadelphia, anytime a game started to kind of go against an Andy Reid team, abandon the run is the first thing that he does. And I feel like that is where Philly, if it gets to a spot like that, that's going to be where we get the ball, we're just going to run it down their throats. Like that is the best case scenario for Philadelphia. I'd love to say this is going to be Eagles-Patriots 2.0, and it's going to be both quarterbacks going off for 400 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns. But I think the script for Philadelphia to win this Super Bowl is to run the football. And that's not a discredit to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has earned his new contract. He's earned his MVP caliber status this year from the regular season and getting to this point. I think when you look at the matchups, we don't win this game by the deep ball. Sure, mix it in, sprinkle it in, have those RPOs, take the plays as they get there. That's exactly what Jalen Hurts does. He takes what the defense gives him. But what the defense is going to give them, or what we're going to make them give us, is running the football. They do not want to stop us running the football. They do not want to see us run the football. They want us to try to, Mahomes might get a quick score. They're like, well, shit, we got to throw it right away. No, stick to what we've done this entire playoff run. Stick to what we did against the Giants. Stick to what we did against the 49ers. Just run the football. Run the football. Our offense can easily run for 200 yards against Kansas City. Control the clock. Keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. And when he's on the field, blitz the ever-living shit out of him. I think if those things kind of flow down, Philly is going to have their second Super Bowl in 5-6 years, which is awesome. Absolutely unreal. I need some new Eagles gear anyway, so that'd be a great reason to buy some. Love to hear what you guys think in the comment section below about this matchup. It's going to be a great game. I hope no injuries. I hope full strength. We see our best versus their best, and it goes down as an all-time classic. But a little nervous. I wish I felt as confident as I did against the Niners, or as confident as I did against the Giants. But that's the nature of the beast going against Patrick Mahomes, Big Red, Travis Kelce's just sometimes, they're just unstoppable. And hopefully it's not today. So I will see you guys back here after the game has wrapped up. And hopefully I'll be out of my mind. And I'll be at least coherent enough to talk about the game And I'll see you guys then. So thank you very much for watching. Till next time, it's Boise4 saying like, subscribe, all that cheesy YouTube stuff. And I'll see you later. Peace out.